So today is episode 30, and that means it is World Download Day. So if you're a supporter of any tier, be sure to get your World Download, whether you're a Patreon over on Patreon, or you are a Discord premium member, or a Twitch supporter. Either one of those gets you access, including you here on YouTube. So definitely get that all linked up over on the Discord, and get your World Download today. So today we are jumping right back in to some more modern industrialization. And this means that, well, we are going to be getting into some more advanced topics and some more advanced machines and some more advanced automations, all of those and above. Now, I did see that a couple of you guys were kind of confused by why I'm even getting into this mod in the first place. And let me kind of explain that. Advanced AE has updated, and well, there's a big need for singularities in this mod, especially for the quantum alloy plates. Each one of these quantum alloy plates costs 8 quantum alloy, and each one of those costs 4 singularities. And the way we get singularities is by typically trashing something, like water, or trashing, for example, items, to produce singularities. And this mod also adds a nice way to get those singularities a little bit easier, still though requiring about 16,000 items. So how am I going to go about getting this? Well, Extended AE, and I know there's a lot of AE here, but Extended AE provides water cells. And the infinite water cells means I can not only get into things like Mekanism a little bit easier, but I can also use this and trash water now without needing to worry about draining all of my water supply. So to get these, we need stainless, and stainless steel from modern industrialization has required all of this stuff that we've worked up to at this point. And we might be able to get stainless today. However, it is going to take some pretty extensive automation and actually get into some new chemicals, as you can see over here in the left. Everything that is highlighted is pretty much the progression that we are going to be going through today. And that is everything from soldering alloy to producing chlorium hydrochloric solution. There's all kinds of stuff that we are going to be working on today, but the ultimate goal is to produce more aluminum and also produce stainless steel. And so, yes, I do have a reason to actually get into this mod. We can also, by the way, make an infinite cobblestone card, which also has some other uses. But yes, I just wanted to mention that, yeah, there is an actual reason to get in here, and I think that infinite water card is by far one of the most powerful items in this entire pack. And the reason being is there's not a good way to get infinite water outside of that. Why would we want to get into advanced AE? Well, they just added a new armor set called Quantum Armor, and that looks amazing. So it is very, very nice. If we take a look here, Advanced AE has added this Quantum Armor, and this stuff right here has a ton of upgrades, including some flight upgrades and things like that, which I know we already have. But there's like night vision and all kinds of other really cool stuff. And each one of these requires 2 plates of their own, and also some storage components, all kinds of other crazy stuff. So definitely worth getting into, I think. And this is going to be pretty nice. It has some integration as well within the AE terminal and stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of want to try it out. So this is 100% a reason for doing this. So now back into more modern industrialization. And one of the first things I want to get set up before we start working on anything is soldering alloy. And this is going to allow me to craft some other components. For example, I should be able to craft like these aluminum rotors a bit cheaper inside of an assembler, saving us on aluminum because we're not producing a whole lot just yet. So once we have this up and running, we will definitely have some aluminum to spare, but it does require a process in itself to make the soldering alloy. Thankfully, though, it's not too difficult, just simply requiring us to have like some lead, I do believe, and some iron being ground up in and then just sent into a mixer. So with this, I have my lead and tin going in here to produce the soldering material, and this is going down into the drawer. So what I need to do is I have it connected up to this storage system, allowing me to then have it automatically pulled back into this, which seems kind of weird that this is the same place that everything else is being sent out of. But we're also going to use this to pipe directly into this EBF. So I have made 2 more EBFs. I got them all hooked up and ready to go using the same setup that we were using before. And this is really nice and clean, allowing me to just transfer these things over. So on this, we'll just make sure to filter that. And I have an input hatch up at the top, and then we just need a fluid output hatch, and this should produce the soldering fluid that we can use in our other machines. We'll set that to pull. That should start pulling the soldering fluid in here. The EBF should kick on, and we should now be producing soldering fluid. Yes, just like that. And I have it auto outputting directly into our fluid drawer that I just need to simply lock, just like that, and connect in. Beautiful. And so what I'm going to use that fluid for is the assembler. Now I need to get power routed to this, and I should be able to bring the power up just like so. And I need to tap into this interface. I guess I could add another interface. I'm going to put a pattern provider on top of here, and this is going to be the place where we temporarily craft our components that are going to be required later on that utilize that aluminum. So what I'm going to do is set this to output, pulling the soldering fluid into our assembler here. And we have some power connected in. So now I can just build my recipes, making sure this is on lock crafting mode and make sure this is set to auto eject, and you have it configured to the top. So I've taken my aluminum processing and I've got it all set up and have it technically passively producing. I do need to, for example, manually take these items out for right now, which have been building up over a little bit of time, and place them into the same machine setups that we've been using all throughout this whole area. But we will be producing a lot more aluminum very quickly, but we've got to get our first thing done. And that is either making a centrifuge or making an electrolyzer. I think the electrolyzer is the better option here, as it's going to grant us quicker aluminum, whereas the centrifuge, while it can produce aluminum from lava, it is going to be a bit slower. But we definitely will have a centrifuge set up to produce aluminum nuggets soon. But this right here is the first step. So yes, it's going to require some rods. It's going to reuse those circuits that we just made. 2 circuits here, so we're going to have to request some more circuits. But the main cost is these aluminum rotors, which do require quite a bit of these bended rods right here. And yes, it is going to be the same recipe. Like, this is the cheapest recipe here. I've got to get all of these set up. The rings, however, these can be made in a compressor. I actually should add another compressor just to make these rings, because outside of that, this is the recipe for the rings. It's quite expensive. So instead, I should definitely be using a bending machine or a compressor to make these. So at this point, it's going to be a game changer, because after getting all of the crafting recipes done, and with our few things that we have in here, I can now craft an electrolyzer. So all I have to do is simply press this button. Everything is ready to go to be crafted. I hit this, and we just simply wait. So we'll see that this is going to be creating all of those components, utilizing the fluid, just like this, doing request crafting. Oh man, that you would love to see. This is not exactly what I intended to happen. I wonder how that's actually going to work. Oh, I was not expecting the pattern provider to send to this one. I completely forgot that that is a thing. Oh man. So that does change how the locking recipe is set up. You know what? I can actually unlock this for now, because it really doesn't matter on this crafter as much as it does on the others. Yeah, I guess it'll go between. This one's the one that's really important, I think. Honestly, none of them are important. Let's just be fair. It should send what it can send at any given moment. So it doesn't matter if they have the fluid in them or not. It's going to work. Okay, well, there we go. And we have an electrolyzer. I thought that catastrophic failure was going to happen, but no, I was surprised to see that it actually completed. Here we go. It's got what plants crave. Oh, electrolytes, I see. All right. So now that we have the electrolyzer, this opens up a bit faster aluminum processing, because we can now take bauxite dust and turn it into aluminum dust, and we also get titanium as a byproduct. But wait, what else do we get from this? It looks like we also potentially get a few other things. We end up getting oxygen as well. So we've got a few things we've got to deal with. So our handling of our items with this machine are going to be a little bit different, because we can't just send it directly to a normal drawer. However, there are other ways that we should be able to get around this. And so now this is going to be a job for my handy dandy controller access point. The way we get this linked up is you just need to shift right click your controller, make sure that's selected, and then right click to add this just like any other drawer. And this basically acts as the controller itself, but at a different area. So that means we can build out drawers that are going to contain all of those individual items and fluids, and we can have the machine auto output to this to fill those containers. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. But first, we definitely want to define these before we lock these drawers and we set all of our components to it. So I am sending bauxite now into the electrolyzer. Ooh, this is nice. This should produce oxygen as well. I am noticing though, it's a pretty slow process actually. I was actually expecting to be a little bit faster, but later on we can probably upgrade this, or we can add more of these potentially. But still, this is going to produce 4, and we might want, I don't know if we want to keep it on the same line or put this on a new EBF. Ooh, that might be something worth doing. Either way, we are going to receive these tiny dusts and also the aluminum. Need to make sure that ends up in a drawer, and then the oxygen also needs to be in there. Best way to get the oxygen in is probably to have it set to output. Then we can actually lock this drawer, because there's no way to just immediately set this filter, I do not think. Unless we can like drag a fluid into it. Oh, we can, I think. Hold on. If that's the case, then oxygen can go in here? No, you cannot. So yeah, it's a little bit harder to set filters on these without having the fluid to set the filter to. Also, is it a 100% chance to grant this? It's a 50% chance, so it's definitely not every time. Interesting. So I have my output assigned over here so I can have the fluid auto eject, and I want to make sure I lock that for sure. Now that I have that, I can break it, or I should be able to break it. There we go. Place it down here, and then I just need to get these linked up, get all the drawers connected, just like normal. Except now I can have this machine auto output to the bottom for both fluids and items, and it should fill up those going into this one access controller. And then for the fun part, changing what we have in here. So at the moment, there is no filter, I do believe, on this. Oh, there is a filter actually. So let's go ahead and remove these filters that are sending this item. And then instead, we will swap this out. So we'll get rid of that entirely. And we're going to swap it out for bauxite. Or sorry, not bauxite, actually. Take that out. This is going to be the aluminum. So we'll take the aluminum dust that we're now producing, and we'll just make sure that it keeps this in constant supply. Really doesn't matter how many we have in there. It's not going to matter at all. We just need to make sure that we have it defined in our pipe. And this is really going to change how quick we are producing this. Considering this only takes 10 seconds to produce now, like this process takes 10 seconds to convert this, whereas before it would take 100 seconds if I do remember correctly, right? So yes, 10 seconds to convert aluminum into aluminum ingots, and to do it the other way around, it takes 100 seconds. That is 10 times faster. Now, I also went ahead and made some of these basic upgrades, which should allow us to speed up our machine a little bit here. It is the only thing hooked up. Now, I don't know how much faster this is going to go, but if I put these in, I think this allows it to ramp up. The more processes that it does, the faster it will get. So right now, the efficiency just went up to 1, and it can go up to 11 from what it looks like here. This part I'm kind of unfamiliar with, but without these upgrades, you can't get that ramp up. And same goes for this, right? You see the efficiency, so the more operations it does, the faster it will get, which is going to help us. It's going to be great. Now, the max overclock here says 40 EU. We don't actually have the ability to pump 40 EU, I don't think. We can do 32 EU a tick. I think these do produce 32 EU a tick, if I remember correctly. So yeah, in reality, I really won't be able to supply this with full power, unfortunately, even with one upgrade in. I would have to, for example, I guess have more of these turbines if I'm understanding how the power works. Now, moving forward, I'm going to need a ton of power. So I think this is the time where I move from steel boilers, well, to the advanced large steam boiler. And this is actually a multi-block. So I'm going to need my wrench in my offhand. And by placing this down, I should be able to see how this looks. Okay, so it's 4 blocks tall from the looks of it. And actually having it down here wouldn't be a bad idea. I was thinking about having it go up into the roof. That could be something, but it looks like in the middle, and I can't tell. Okay, oh wow, it's actually bigger than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so it's more than that. Does it have another level? Okay, no. Okay, so it looks like the boiler is 3 blocks up off the ground, and then I'm gonna need, so it's like a 5 tall structure. But this thing can essentially produce enough steam to sustain what, if I did the math correctly, 32 of these steam turbines. Like, if I did the math correctly, that should be able to produce this. And also judging by the quests here, saying that it can produce a production rate of 1,024 millibuckets per tick of steam. And considering these use 1 millibucket per tick for steam production to produce 1 EU, these produce 32 EU. So it kind of maths out. Now, I'm assuming this is going to have some inputs and outputs that we're going to have to work with, but this is essentially the multi-block. So I just need to build this out just like it is set up. And I'm going to go with it placed in here. It looks kind of good, actually. And this should be the last block, and that should complete the multi-block. Okay. So I assume we need an input port, so an item input hatch, because this is going to need, I'm assuming, coal and water. But we don't have the input hatches in here just yet. But once we have those things going in here, this should get this up and running. So I have a fluid input hatch that should allow me to send in water. Let's get an exporter. And then we need 2 exporters, actually. 1 for fluid over here and 1 for our coal. Still debating what kind of coal should I use. I think we should still stick with maybe using the coal from Modern Industrialization. But that should allow it, yeah, start filling up there. And then this side, we just need to tell it, hey, send water. Perfect. And that's going to ramp up. I don't know how fast we're going to have to input water, but if this is correct, I'm hoping we'll start to see the thing start to fill up with temperature. Ooh, it might not. And I do have the output hatch, and I'm assuming that this is going to be the side that we need to define right here as the output. And we can set it to auto output just like that. And we should see steam build up in here. Oh boy, nothing's happening though. So after a little bit of finicky research here, these need to be bronze-plated bricks instead of the casings which I was using, which is easy to confuse considering they look very similar. So once I have this in place, this should now complete fully the multi-block. And boop, and boop. There we go. Okay, so now it is ready to go. All right, so now I can run my cables back down, get them connected in, and make sure they're up and running. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so now the temperature is rising, and this is the output, which is the steam. Oh, perfect. Okay, this is where I want to use my entangled block, and I just want to entangle this to our current steam container. That way, we have all of that throughput going into that steam container, allowing our applied energistic system to route the steam around. We don't have to like use pipes to pipe out of here. Now for power, I have an idea of setting up sort of these kind of arrays of steam turbines. In the center down here, what I want is I want to have this connected, carrying steam through an entangled block and sending that steam to all of these machines, while also allowing me to pull power out of here. Now the very bottom should be done. So these are now all producing power, and I was kind of worried if these pipes were going to be able to transfer enough steam, but it does appear like it shouldn't have a problem doing that. Now, the cable, the reason I only have 8 of them, because that's the max that these 10 cables can support on the LV. So I'll place this down inside, and I've just got to make sure that this is connected to all the output sides. And same up here. Looks like that is now all connected. Oh, that's nice. Did it automatically connect into the bottom too? I think so. So there we go. So now we have that power connected. And then we just need to have a cable kind of running out. Unless I broke one of these machines, it's going to be hard to interact with the interior there. But we can now take a look at modular routers, because there was a mod added that allows us to use modular routers to send EU power around. Now, judging by the Curse Forge page, you can place the machine, for example, like this, or the modular router up, and then connect your cable directly into it. And then you can put your LV upgrade in, and it's going to allow you to transfer some power around. Now I think there is a limitation though to how much actual power can be transferred around. And I think it tells you, it may only tell you actually on the Curse Forge page. No, it actually says it right here. Okay, so make the energy module in the router behave as if they are transferring modern industrialization EU of the LV. Okay, so we're tier LV. So it has a capacity of 280 and a transfer rate by 60 EU per router tick. Okay, so I'm assuming every tick it can send 64. The router's transfer rate is 64 EU per router tick. Really wish I knew exactly what that meant. I'm just going to act like I know what it means, and we'll see if this can actually support this setup right here. If not, we can of course change it up. But what this gives me the ability to do is wirelessly send the actual EU around, which is just as insane as it sounds, by using an energy distributor module. Now, before we get started on the journey of figuring out how to make chromium and magnesium for the stainless steel, we're definitely going to need oxygen and hydrogen. Now, we're already producing oxygen, and unfortunately these are not combinable with the Mekanism mod, so we can't use what we're already producing there. It's completely separate. So we have to use an electrolyzer. Now we got to send this water, and then this should produce oxygen and hydrogen. I need to get those two fluids out, and then I want to store them here, and I'm going to be utilizing that method that I showed earlier by using a controller access point to send multiple things to one output side, and then everything can just fill into a drawer. We're also going to want to make sure that we can void those things so we can infinitely produce them, because we're going to need oxygen and also hydrogen in abundant supply, and we don't want to ever run out of it. Now, I'm going to need to define these two containers, so anything that produces a fluid, I'm probably going to have to do it in this janky method to sort of get it to pump into, for example, these different containers, so that way I can utilize that storage access point. So for this, I will say oxygen is filtered here, and then in this pipe will be hydrogen, and this will be the best way for me to define those, and then they'll just end up piping into their respective containers. Once they're filled, I can lock them, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. But I will go ahead and define our output with the wrench, and I will just set the output here and make sure on this one fluid auto eject is on. So now with the water running into this, moment of truth to try out our first machine that is going to be connected. All right, so I'm going to use the face, which I hope I can, and I'll shift right click. This just sets the first machine, and then when I place that on there, this is now receiving power, but not a lot. It's probably because I need a speed upgrade. So as soon as we put speed upgrades in here, there we go. Now we are providing enough, and I don't think stack upgrades would work, but apparently we can put more of the LV energy upgrades in here to get it to work. And then that is just flickering, which looks kind of crazy, but there it is. It is actively running. It is receiving it all, and I'm sure this is very performant. Now, chromium has a huge progression line to be able to make chromium dust, but there's actually another way that we can get it, and it's also going to help us, I believe, towards the magnesium part. So to be able to do this and actually make chromium nuggets, we can use a centrifuge. So a centrifuge just needs to process lava, so you do need like a supply of lava to do this. Thankfully, I have just that. So I'm going to place in some new cables, just like so, right into the back of the machine. And then we'll just define lava here. So lava, that is going to make sure it pulls out lava, and it's going to go right into the machine to be processed up. And then I can take this and just add a new machine. Oh, this is so nice with the little wireless power like that. Perfect. So this is going to produce sulfur. It's going to produce copper. It's also going to produce the chrome at a 20% chance. And if I remember correctly, it also can produce, let me look at the nuggets here. It also produces aluminum nuggets. So even nicer that we have another source of aluminum here that is just going to run passively. Not super fast, not insanely fast, but it will run and should slowly but surely start to produce chrome and also produce aluminum nuggets. Now our next step is to make manganese dust, and the manganese dust, well, we need the tiny dust, all of this just taking a bit longer to produce. But the way we get this is going to be through an electrolyzer. I've got to go through, and with a chemical reactor, we have to produce sulfuric acid. That is what I'm working on right now. So I have a chemical reactor, and I'm going to be feeding it oxygen and water, and then we're also going to be feeding it sulfur dust. Thankfully, we are also producing sulfur dust from our centrifuge over here, so we have a decent supply of that, no problem at all. And we're also producing chromium while we're at it. Now I got to split up my cables here with some different colors. This is why you have different colored cables. There we go, and we'll just define this as pulling in the oxygen since this line is running water. So I'll just drag in the oxygen, set that to output. That should be auto inputting, and then we just need to pull with an item pipe our items in, for example, sulfur. So man, it does make sense now why these pipes fit the way they do. This mod would be absolutely insane without having these kind of pipes. All right, so we need sulfur. Let's grab that out of our drawers. Define that. Make sure this is set to out and this in. And that should start working. We just got to pull the card out of here and start distributing our power around. Oh, that is so nice. And there we go. So, by the way, the advancement when we got this says Walter White approves. Yeah, we are now cooking with chemicals. So now we're at the point where we need to make manganese crush dust. And to get that, we need some raw iron, and that raw iron just needs to be sent through this pipe. So we'll put this in the output, that for the input on this machine. This has some power and is going to start producing not only manganese crushed dust, but some iron dust. So we are going to need to put that in a drawer and just make sure we have it voided, so that way it's constantly producing that manganese crushed dust. And then yet again, another machine that makes good use of that controller access point. So now we move into the manganese sulfuric solution, and this is getting close to some of our last steps. We're very close actually to being able to make stainless steel, believe it or not. So I'll add the manganese in here and down here. That should start sending the manganese in, and then the sulfuric acid needs to go in here as well. And I have that now just set in here. So we'll say pull sulfuric acid, make sure to pull that out, send it to the machine, and just like that, another operation down. That is fantastic. And this now has some power and should start producing this, which we're just going to send automatically down into the bottom, just like so. That's beautiful. Now this last step on the manganese is actually quite simple. I'm just going to pull from the drawer right here and route it up, and we're going to send it directly into here. So this should be pretty straightforward. We don't have to filter anything, and that then receives it and it's going to start producing those tiny piles. So yet again, another machine we can add to the list here. Toss that on in. And so that should start producing those tiny dust piles and also the sulfuric acid, which we already have a container for. So it's just going to go automatically into that container, kind of looping, but there is a loss, so it's not 100% efficient. But yeah, the items, we'll just end up placing that into a drawer and we're good to go. So now that we have manganese and we also have chromium, that's basically all we need in a mixer outside of all the other ingredients that we definitely have, like iron dust and nickel dust. And we are producing stainless steel. That goes into an EBF, and we have ourselves some stainless steel hot ingots that we then need to put into a vacuum freezer. This being a little bit more expensive than all the other machines that we've made, considering it requires significantly more aluminum. Now, after just a few auto crafts, we now have iron dust in here, some nickel dust, manganese dust, and the chromium ready to go with our crafting card, keeping these all in stock. Now, something that I want to make sure to do whenever I place these in is I want to take one of these out for right now. And before we even set the piping up, I just want to place this in and, oh, not do that. Maybe place these in first and then place the nickel dust in there. Okay. Place this in, and I think that is everything. Actually, we need a certain amount of iron, right? So how much iron does this need? I want to lock the recipe essentially into the mixer. That is going to be more than one, right? Where's the stainless steel? Right here. Okay. 6. It requires 6 of them. So I'll take 6 of those, put that in, quickly lock. And I think with that recipe locked, we should be able to sustain the amount of items going into here. At least I hope. Okay, so never mind. I'm a complete dork. Actually, you click the lock button and it allows you to lock these slots, which I definitely should have done, but we can still do that. I can place the iron in, place this in, this, and do it by hand for right now. And that'll make sure that they always have a slot. Actually, can we pause this machine? I don't know if I can, per se. Actually, if I pick up the machine, all of its power should be gone, and then it should not run. That's going to be something that I've kind of worked through. Okay, so we'll lock this, and then I'll put the iron in. Okay, maybe not. Unlock. Place the iron in. Like that. The nickel. The manganese, and that. Just like so. Then hit lock. Shift click to lock all. No, we only want to lock these. Okay, and so now it is locked. And so these should be locked in place, I think, now. Okay. And then we will put that back in. Perfect. Put our card back in. There we go. And there we go. So now it holds the buffers. So this is how you can actually lock slots, which is very, very nice for these machines. So in just like that, I now have... Oh. Maybe not. Because if you don't do this correctly, apparently by locking the output slot as well, it will not produce what you want it to produce. That's very interesting. So if you're having the same problem I'm having, apparently you can drag it into JEI and make sure it's locked, and then force the locked craft. So we should not end up... Actually, I might need to also lock this slot, so that way it doesn't continue to craft invar. So here we go with stainless steel. So I have my stainless steel dust ready to go. We'll put it into our output here and into the input on this EBF. This one was, I put it up the same time I put this one up, specifically for stainless steel. And then when it's done, the stainless steel will automatically get sent over here, thus completing this. Well, sort of, because we still have one more operation after this to fully have a stainless steel ingot. And this requires that vacuum freezer, which, I mean, is just going to take some time to craft. So now for the big craft, that is the vacuum freezer. Or at least it feels like a big craft at the moment, requiring a ton of aluminum to get started.
I thought I could sneak in here when he was
So now that we have this being produced, I just simply need to wait for it. And we already have enough of the stainless steel, like, ready to go to produce... well, the thing that I set out to make and got into this mod for in the first place. Now with the vacuum freezer done, oh, enslaved winter, we can now set all of this up. So I'll just take a functional storage drawer, get one of those made up real quick, and we'll just simply pipe. So I'll take a pipe from back here, and I'm going to send this right into the vacuum freezer. And just route it just straight from here. So we'll get that connected like this. Beautiful. This one I'll just set to output, ignore, and then, oh wait, shape and, oh, does the vacuum freezer have a multi-block? Uh-oh, that I was not ready for. So wait, I'm confused. So wait, I need to essentially fill the whole thing with aluminum blocks around it. And this I was not prepared for. So this is a huge upset in the progression here, and unfortunately is kind of a waiting game at this point now, kind of freezing us, which is exactly what this is. Unfortunately, I really wish it would have showed in the quest here. I know you can look at the vacuum freezer and see it, but it's going to require like 330 odd plates to be formed in that time. Thankfully, we are producing it at a pretty decent rate, but it's definitely not fast enough at the moment. And to make it faster would require basically duplicating this entire setup over again. We are producing it from our other setup, which I'm also feeding back here. But my goodness, so I've paused all of this, and I'm just going to unpause the plates, because the only thing we really need is technically the plates. So I'm going to turn this back on. And so now the only place the ingot should go would be the plates. Actually, it should not be going here. Disable that too. There we go. So we should have all of these just making their way into the plates. And then we just wait. So may have devised something cheesy, and I don't know if this is going to work or not, but how about the top and bottom just being completely filled with hatches? And that way we only need like 15 of the center parts, meaning we only need 15 of the frostproof machines. So let's try that. And I can craft those incredibly fast. I had just enough. And we'll see if this forms the multi-block with just this amount. That would be amazing. And would save so many resources if that's the case. Oh my goodness. That's the ultimate cheese right there. So if you want to jump ahead, just fill the entire thing with all kinds of hatches. I just use input hatches for all hatches that I didn't need. For example, this is an output hatch, which I do need. But this is the ultimate cheese right here. That's so good. I have an LV energy hatch in the back, which will allow me to hook up to a steam turbine. But yeah, that saves so much aluminum. So it's valid and active. That's amazing. So with a simple pipe routed here, I can set this to output, disable the filter, disable the filter. That then gets sent. It is also receiving power wirelessly from here. You can see the line shooting across. And that is going to auto send the stainless steel into the frame drawer here. And that right there is beauty. Oh, this is so good. And we now have stainless steel, which means we have access to those cards that I really wanted, that this pack gated behind this process right here. Oh my goodness. That is actually insane. By the way, I'm noticing it says right here, status efficiency 2. It didn't auto send into here. Should. I don't think I have any other output hatch. Oh, I do. Never mind. It's sent to the front. Okay. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. We'll take this and actually set this as the main. There we go. And then set this to auto output. You know what? That's fine. And then I'll place the barrel right in front. Perfect. Now we've unlocked the power of stainless steel. What does it say? Invar with slot locking. Oh, goodness. And so now with the power of stainless steel, our future is definitely looking bright. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode diving into modern industrialization. I think at this point, though, that's about it for me for modern industrialization, because all I really wanted was this stainless steel moving forward. So this is going to continue to produce, but all I really want is the cobble card and the water card, and this is what was needed to actually get those things. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video, of course, a huge thumbs up. And don't forget, if you are a supporter, be sure to get your world download. Everything is handled over on the Discord. Check the world downloads channel. Guys, I think it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Lee Wong. Thank you so much, by the way, for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. And guys, with that, I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, or we're going to be diving deeper into Advanced AE and unlocking a new gear set. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!